Alright guys, today I'm cooking Tetra squash two completely different ways. One savoury and one sweet. We're doing spiced oven roasted rings, and then we're filling another lot of rings with cookie dough and baking them into something really fun. Okay then, so let's start off with the savoury one, and it's going to be rings dipped in a spiced batter. So we need the Tetra squash. What a lovely colour. We'll have a chat about the squash as we go through. And for the batter, we just need some flour and some spices of your choice, really. I'm using turmeric. Some sort of heat if you want a bit of heat, like chilli, pepper, mustard or cayenne. I'm using mustard powder. Ground cumin, ground coriander, some salt, some lemon juice and some oil. And we'll play around with a bit of garnish at the end. Top and tail the squash and cut it in half lengthways, that is across the diameter, not down the length of it. We want to make some rings, but we want to save the seeds, so we're going to scoop the seeds out. Now the squash itself, it's called Tetra, and the Tetra means four, and the creators of the Tetra squash used the word Tetra to promote the variety for its four edible uses. Mature squash, an immature squash like a green one to use as a summer squash. You can eat the blossoms and you can eat the stems. Now, I'm not quite sure why you'd want to eat the stems because that would stop the fruits from growing, but hey-ho! There's not a lot of information flying around about the Tetra squash, but I found a little bit. And even though it looks like its ubiquitous cousin, the delicata squash, they couldn't be more different. In texture, the Tetra is creamy, dense, buttery, whereas the delicata is stringy, runny and watery, a bit like a pumpkin. And flavour-wise, the Tetra is sweet, similar to a caramelised sweet potato, whereas the delicata is a light squash, a bit bland maybe. But the Tetra can be used in any recipe calling for the delicata. When it's caramelised, the thin skin is not only edible, but it's snappy and nutty. So these golden yellow stripy squashes can be sliced, roasted, cooked and added to grain bowls, salads, vegetable side dishes, or halved and stuffed with meat, rice, herbs and vegetables. The Tetra doesn't need to be peeled before use, and it develops a soft consistency when cooked with gratins and cassoulets, pastas and egg dishes. The squashes can be grilled as a simple side dish, shredded and fried into pâtés, or thinly sliced as a topping over pizzas. In addition to the flesh, the squash seeds can be cleaned and roasted as a crunchy snack, but I'm going to try and save mine to grow next year. Tetra squash pairs well with cheeses such as feta ricotta, parmesan and cheddar, and aromatics including onions, shallots, garlic, beets, tomatoes, corn, dark leafy greens, walnuts, pomegranate seeds, cranberries, miso, maple syrup and spices like rosemary, turmeric, coriander, parsley and cumin. And not a bad squash overall, and I hope to be doing more dishes next year if these seeds are viable. Okay then, time to make the batter, and we're starting off with 50 grams of plain flour, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of ground coriander, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, and like I say, you can put whatever you want in this really. Half a teaspoon of salt, and a little bit of heat if you fancy. I'm just using half a teaspoon of mustard for this one. Give the dry ingredients a bit of a mix up, then add the juice of half a lemon, and 3 or 4 tablespoons of the oil of your choice. I'm just using avocado oil for this one. Give it all a good mixing, and you'll probably need to add a good dollop or two of water to make a thick batter, not too thick and not too runny. You'll see in a second. Just about like that, I suppose. Yeah. You'll notice I changed to a fork. My little whisk is about as much use as the chocolate fireguard when things are a bit stiff. Slice your squash into rings, about 6 to 10 mil, I suppose. Some were thicker, some were thinner. Don't think it really matters that much. Now, for some reason, I decided I wanted to make the inside of the rings nice and neat and to take away some of those wispy little bits I'd missed when I was cutting the seeds out. My little plastic pastry cutter was not cutting it. So I tried the knife and that was no good either. Then I found my preserving funnel. Perfect. Get the rings into the batter, smother them with the batter, get them fully coated. Pop the battered rings onto a lined baking sheet and it's into the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 200 Celsius, just until they've started to turn a nice golden brown. After the 10 to 15 minutes, take them out of the oven, flip the rings over, then back in the oven, 200 Celsius for another 10 to 15 minutes, just until they look cooked really. When they're cooked to your liking, take them out the oven and place them on a rack to cool down. A little bit of garnish before I taste them. Chopped red peppers. These are Palmero F1, very nice pepper. I'll be growing those again next year as well. An artistic drizzle of some runny yoghurt and some chopped parsley leaves. Brian, better have a taste of these, haven't we? Oh dear me. Which one? I don't know which one that's on top, I suppose. Here we go then. That is very, very nice. Cooked right through as well. Those spices, well, they certainly add to the flavour. I hope those seeds are viable because I really, really want to grow these again next year. But I hope you try this one, guys. It is delicious. And for the sweeter dish, we have the same rings, but this time they're going to be stuffed with cookie dough. In my case, a chocolate chip cookie dough. Exactly the same prep work with the squash, except this time I'm slicing the rings to be about 6mm thick. I didn't want the cookie mix to overcook. It says it takes 15 to 16 minutes. And I left the inner circles rough because I was worried that the cookies might fall out if they were perfect circles. Make up your cookie batter in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Preheat your oven to 200 Celsius. Place the rings onto a lined baking sheet and stuff the rings with the cookie dough. Is it dough or is it batter? I don't know. Smooth the dough out, pushing it into all the little nooks and crannies. I really was worried that these cookies might fall out. And it's into the oven for about the 16 minutes and it takes the cookie dough to cook. Then onto a rack to allow them to cool down fully. I always put things on a rack. If you leave them on a tray, the bottoms tend to go a little bit soggy. And I think a quick dusting with icing sugar will set these off nicely. Right then, I better taste one of these. What a combo. Cookie and squash. Oh my word. That is incredible. I'll tell you what, I'm loving this. They really, really are good, guys. They really are. I tell you, that is amazing. I think I've done the cookies just right as well, so they're quite crunchy. Oh, you've got to try this one. Hope you enjoy this, guys. Tetra squash, not very popular in the UK, but if these seeds are viable, there'll be a lot more in the UK next year. Take care, guys. Catch you on the next recipe.